Sac Passe, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, this is a space where we provide valuable tools to help you navigate between two cultures and beyond. Today's episode is extra special. I'm joined by Dorothy Emmanuelle, an experienced educator with over 15 years of teaching in U.S. schools. Her cultural background spans Martinique, Haiti, Canada, and the US, which gives her a powerful and extra unique voice to this conversation. Today, with her, we'll be diving into what really helps our kids thrive in US education system. Let's get to it. Welcome, Dorothy.
Thank you for having me. How
Thanks
are
for
you?
joining us here.
I've been looking forward to this for quite some time, so I'm excited to be here.
Artu, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Blessed for
Good,
sure.
good to have you here.
Thank you.
Had a lot of good things, when it comes to your background culturally.
Yes.
So we are really interested in hearing from you with all you have to offer.
Well, I'm not gonna hold back. I'm gonna try to be as authentic and real and make it plain.
We like that. Let's dive into it.
I'm here for it.
All right. So the purpose of the show is to provide necessary tools to people
Yes.
to navigate between two cultures.
Okay.
So tell us a little bit about you culturally. What is your upbringing looks like?
Okay, so my dad was Haitian, sac passé to all my Zoes out there.
Not boule.
Ma maman c'est Martiniquaise,
Bon
donc
bagay.
bonjour, comment allez-vous? I was born and raised in Montreal, Quebec, so je parle le joual,
That's interesting.
and I was raised in Illinois.
That's great, actually. So I think you have a lot to offer to this platform
Yes.
because this is why we are here. We want
Absolutely.
to help people.
Absolutely.
So somebody like you who grew up navigating multiple cultures, how was it like for you?
Honestly, I don't think I really fully grasped what it was all about until I moved to the States. So I
Right.
always knew that I had a mother from Martinique, a father from Haiti, and people would say that, but I don't think I really, really had a good grasp of what that meant
Right,
because
right.
we spoke French in the home. So that was the dominant language. We spoke French at church, with the congregation, with our neighbors. But I was also very much immersed in the English language because I was always in English schools, English curriculum.
Right.
So it just never really made a lot of sense to me, other than the fact that my parents were from two very unique places, but then the primary language was French.
I get it. You mentioned something really interesting. You said that you grew up speaking French in the house. Do you speak French?
Oui, je parle français, bien sûr.
Je parle français, mais est-ce que tu es beaucoup plus à l'aise en anglais ou en français?
When it's time for me to get animated, l'anglais right away.
Les
So,
domaines.
don't come for me. Mais je parle français et puis je me sens beaucoup plus à l'aise en français, mais ça dépend du contexte.
Ah, c'est vraiment une richesse linguistique, là. Hein?
Yes.
Effectivement, je vais te mettre dans ton bain. Tu vas te rendre à l'aise. So, je vais continuer en anglais.
Il n'y a pas
Hein?
de souci.
Tell us some of the benefits and challenges that you have met navigating multiple cultures.
I think some of the benefits was being able to pretty much adapt to whatever my surroundings were all
Right,
about.
right.
So, like my family and I, we value traveling at least twice, sometimes even three times a year. So, whatever country we end up in, it's never been difficult for me to adapt and to try to immerse myself in
That's
that culture with the different languages. Some of the drawbacks I would say is people trying to single out that I sounded different. So, for instance, when I moved to the States, I spoke perfectly good English, bilingual. However, people were reminding me saying, "Oh, you sound different. You don't sound like you grew up in Chicago. You don't sound like you grew up here. Where are you from? You sound a little bit different." Some might even say I sounded like I was from the Caucasoid persuasion, which I didn't really know what that meant because all I know is that I spoke
right,
English,
right.
but a lot of emphasis was placed on that, I think, as I got older and into those teenage years.
I understand perfectly well because, I mean, I've been at that place too. I had to be in between transition and integration culturally.
Oh, yeah.
I know that can be hard actually.
Oh, it's
So,
tough. Yeah.
based on my observation in this Haitian community, and I know you have been teaching for quite some time now.
Correct.
So how long have you been teaching in the US
This is
actually?
actually my 20th
Oh
year.
wow,
I know.
that's
I kind
deep.
of listen. I age myself when I say
That's
that.
deep.
It's weird saying that out loud, but I've been
Right.
doing it for quite some time, and so I've definitely various backgrounds with kids with disabilities and so on and so forth.
So tell us a little bit about your professional background actually. So
Well, professionally, I have a bachelor's degree, bachelor's of science in exceptional student education.
right.
So I work with students with varying exceptionalities, autism spectrum disorder, and so forth. I've also pretty much grades, I would say 18 months old all the way to age 22. I've
Interesting.
taught those students. I'm currently getting my master's degree in educational leadership.
Let's go.
So, oh yeah,
That's
no,
great.
no, it's time. It's time to move
Let's go.
on to
Big dream, huh?
other and oh, for sure, and
That's
bigger
right.
dreams.
That's what I'm talking about.
But I think at the same time, what the reason why I wanted to get into educational leadership is because I wanted to service children and their families.
Right.
So of
Right.
course the classroom is great, but I definitely wanted to be able to evolve and to utilize my talents in other ways.
That's interesting. Actually, so the problematic that we want to address here on this channel. So, for my time here in the US, I've observed that a lot of Haitian parents have struggled to integrate culturally and academically here in the US. So, I think you someone who can help with that. So, based on your experience, so how do you see Haitian people help out academically with their kids? What would you say about that?
I would say based on my experience, Haitian families definitely value education,
Right.
and the emphasis is always à l'école, va à l'école, learn something,
Right.
become something, be the best version of yourselves, get your degree, go to school, go to school, go to school. And so I know that from my experience, a lot of the Haitian families and the Haitian students, they're present.
Right.
They're at school, great attendance. They're very much there. However, one of the disadvantages is that I don't think that Haitian families know how to best service their kids and navigate the culture that we have here in the United States. And so, perhaps due to the language barrier and perhaps even the lack of, if you will, higher education,
Right.
they don't really know how to best serve their children's. For instance, whenever we have any type of, let's say, Spirit Week,
Okay.
Something
Okay.
of the sort. And so kids are supposed to dress out. There's a theme for that week. And every single day might be crazy socks or crazy hair or favorite jersey, something of the sort. My Haitian children, my Haitian students, 9 times out of 10 will dress in uniform Monday through Friday, and they don't have that. They don't understand that narrative, if you
Okay.
will.
Okay. So, do you think it's because they're not interested in such a cultural activity, or is a lack of understanding what's going on?
I think it's both. I really think it's both. I think a lot of times, perhaps there is a lack of understanding
Right.
based on the lack of exposure and that language barrier. However, I don't think they're also asking the questions. They're also not trying to immerse themselves in the new culture, in the new country rather.
Right.
Sorry, or with the culture,
Right.
and say, hey, you know what? I need to do better and figure out, well, what's this all about? Because we're sending the information home. Things are going home.
Right.
We're communicating via social media, whatever platform the school chooses
Right.
to contact the families and
Right.
contact the parents
Right.
to send reminders. But regardless, they don't do it.
Do you have a real life story when there was a cultural activity that was going on within the classroom or at your school where you work?
You mean as
And
a child or as an
no, I'm
educator?
saying as an educator. So
Okay.
when Haitian parent didn't really come through, do you have a real life story?
Oh, I have too many examples.
I share one.
Okay, if you want
let's
one
unpack one right here.
for
Let's
today.
go. Let's go.
Okay, for instance, we have Teacher Appreciation Week.
Okay.
And there's actually a Teacher Appreciation Day, but there's usually a week where they emphasize on sending tokens of appreciation for your teacher, whether that's a gift card, whether it's just, it could be a rose
Wow.
or even just a card that the kid made themselves saying, hey, I really, really appreciate you.
Right.
So it's just different ways of expressing and giving different tokens of appreciation to that teacher for all of the hard work that they're
Right.
doing. And I won't say 100% of the time, let's just be fair.
Okay.
But oftentimes, I don't really have a high expectation for my Haitian families if I just so happen to have their child in my classroom to get me something because they ain't gonna do it. They're not gonna do it.
I
They're
get
not
it.
gonna do
I
it.
get it.
Nope.
But one thing I know, my people, they're really big on education.
Correct.
They want their children to learn.
Correct.
They want them to be well educated, get
100%.
high degree. So I'm still conflicting
Mm-hmm.
to accept that it's just because they don't want to get involved or they don't have the know-how how to integrate themselves in this culture. But do you think, the fact that they're not always present academically in their children's life, that might have a negative impact on the children?
It definitely has a negative impact. And I think, in all fairness, perhaps what happens is that a lot of times with American cultures,
Right, right.
especially in the school system, holidays and things of that nature ends up being a part of the curriculum. So it kind of ties in, if you will. So, does it say somewhere that, hey, by acknowledging your teacher during Appreciation Week or by making sure that your kid dresses out for
Right.
tacky Wednesday or, crazy hairdo Friday, is that going to help your child academically? Not necessarily. However, socially,
Right.
right? Because of course, there's also the social aspect of the child. So of course, there's like the social emotional learning of that child. And so I see kids all the time feeling inadequate. And on those
Wow.
days, like they're crying because they don't feel like they're a part
Really?
of, oh, absolutely,
Oh, wow.
of what's happening.
It really takes a toll on the kids' well-being.
Definitely,
actually, if that
definitely.
happens.
For instance, like birthdays, birthdays are acknowledged very much so. I think even just outside the schools, but
Right.
especially in the schools, especially when you have some of the younger kids, a lot of times families may bring in cupcakes and things of the sort.
Right.
And then, like for instance, even with my own children, I usually will ask the teacher in advance, saying, "Hey, how many students do you have in the class?" And so even for like my big son,
Right.
we celebrated his birthday at the schoolhouse. And I made sure, okay, you have 22 students. So there were 22 cupcakes and 22 slices of pizzas.
Right.
And it was acknowledged. It was something. And I know of students where they feel down when it's their birthday, especially our Haitian families, because they're not going to get that. It's just not
I
happening.
understand that, but I'm still trying to be convinced that, it's just because they do not really understand, the American culture.
I don't think they see the correlation. They probably just think like, what is a cupcake? What does that have to do with learning your letters and your sounds and your mathematics and just being successful
Well,
academically? I'm sending you to school. I have fun, go learn something, be great. But they don't understand that it all kind of comes together, if you will.
I get it. So you're saying that, they don't know how to create an appreciation for academic culture
Or the
within
correlation,
the
correct?
correlation between, these two
Sure.
actually. So but I know you've been doing that for so long, so
Yes.
you have a lot to offer when it comes to that.
Correct.
So, what's some of the suggestions or recommendation would you, give to
Correct.
my Haitian people who would like to
Absolutely.
involve in their children's education?
Absolutely. I think first and foremost, you have to familiarize yourself with the school and with the support staff. So now going into educational leadership, having those conversations, being versed in that,
Right.
your leaders are working behind the scenes. They actually probably end up doing a lot more than we may think. Of course, you have your teachers. You always think of your child's teacher
Right.
being at the forefront, but your leaders are there to make sure that the kids are receiving the best education, the support. I mean, the list can go on and on. But first and foremost, get to know your principal. Get to know what we call the support staff, your secretaries. There are a lot of people there in place, your coaches and your ESOL paras and your ESOL specialists in order to help facilitate
Right.
certain things and support kids that are also just arriving into the country. So get to know your support staff. I probably would say in that order. So if there was a hierarchy, get to know your support staff, then your child's teacher.
Right.
Get to know your child's teacher for sure. And even if you're like, well, I don't really speak the language, but there are people there in place We have what's called language line now, which
Right.
is helping to start those conversations, to translate a lot of those conversations. We have ESOL, individuals and specialists. There are people in place to help support your children. And I think lastly, I would say is attend whatever open house that they may be having.
That's very important. That's a big one. Open
Absolutely.
house. What do they do
Absolutely.
there in open house?
So prior to the start of the school year, like either the week of the first day of school
Right.
or the week prior is it just like a meet and greet, and you get to see where your child is going to be, the space that they're going to be
Correct.
in.
Correct.
You get to familiarize yourself with their teacher. A lot of times they may have like a back to school list
Right.
of
Right.
items that they need in order to be successful. So pencils and pens and wipes and all this kind of, things that you need to have in place for them. But they also have one sometime mid-year, and it's almost like a check-in. Say, hey, you know what? This may end up being around January, February time. It kind of depends what district you're in.
Right.
And it's just to see how well is my child doing. How, what else can I do in order to support my child?
So there's way, to, help the children without necessarily speaking the language.
No,
Right.
absolutely. And there are people there just ready and willing to help guide you. If you need to set a meeting, even outside of those are the two main,
Right.
main things that like pretty much where it just involves the entire school in its
Right.
entirety.
Right.
But there are also other opportunities. If you need to set up a meeting or a conference, you can also schedule one and say, hey, I want to meet with my child's teacher either prior to school hours or after school or during their planning period.
Right.
So they are there to help and start that conversation and address whatever issues that the parent may be having. So not knowing the language is no longer going to be an excuse because we have people there ready and able
That's
to
great.
help
That's
them.
great advice. And still, I still think that, in the Haitian community, we have to do more, including
yeah.
myself, actually. So I think we have to create a structure which is going to offer this type of knowledge, this helps to our people. They really need that.
Yeah.
Knowing my people,
Yeah.
they believe in education,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they don't know, how to involve
Correct.
in their children's education.
Correct.
So
Correct.
we have to do something about that. So I know you have, a deep background in education.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think education can be really relevant or significant in immigrants' parents' life?
No, definitely. I think education, like what I was always taught, or
Right.
I think how a lot of us were often taught is to, go to school, learn something, be the best version of yourself, be a doctor, be a lawyer. I don't think there was going to be a teacher, but hey, that's what worked for
But
me.
they
It is what engineer. That's always a
Big
big
money,
one,
big
right?
money.
Lawyer, was it
Big-
lawyer,
big money.
nurse? Yeah, I'm none of those. I am none of those.
So were you pressured to involve in one of those careers?
You know what? Honestly, I really thank my parents for that because that was never
Oh, really?
a conversation. It was definitely go to college.
Yeah. I think
That was at the
there
forefront.
must be a reason behind them pushing those careers, actually.
I think so. I think a lot of times it's probably just job security.
Oh, I probably
And
yes.
so, obviously that puts you in a different bracket or different, I think it's just people want better for their kids.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't matter whether or not you're from Martinique or Haiti.
Sure,
You
sure.
want better for your kids.
Sure.
Especially if you had to kind of struggle to get there or had to, get help in order to get on your feet, in order to get settled. I think people just want, hey, I don't want my kids to have to go through what I went through and just to be better off.
That's great. But being in the US, people always talk about, there are multiple ways to get there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But still, Haitian parents, they, push their kids to certain careers. So do you think that, education is one of the rare tools that can help when it comes to social mobility or economic mobility from one class to another? One education can do that.
I mean, it definitely could help. It definitely gets you into, I don't want to say higher places because there's definitely different ways to success, if that makes sense. So pretty much, you know what? I'm all about just being the best version of yourself. So if that means like, hey, you know what? Maybe a 4-year university isn't for me, but I'm going to get my AA degree,
Right.
my associate's degree, and, maybe I'll pass your realtor license. I mean, there's just so many different avenues in this country in order to succeed that, especially nowadays, people, not that we're not still promoting go to college
Okay.
and be the best version of yourselves. We're not saying that at all. However, there are different pathways in order to attain success. that doesn't require
But at
that.
least you need the K to 12, right?
Oh no, high school
Oh,
diploma?
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's just the bare
Yeah,
minimum.
this is where I'm going
Oh
to
yeah.
see how I can help my people to keep them children to make it there from K to 12. You
Yeah.
know, when kids don't see there's appreciation for education
Mhm.
within the class,
Mhm.
I mean within the household,
Right.
sometimes they tend to leave school earlier, they drop out,
Yeah, no,
right?
you don't want to do that. I mean, you
So
can, I understand, but it's definitely going to come with some consequences
yeah, there's
or the
drawback.
struggle. Oh
Yeah,
no, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
That's a struggle waiting to happen. So if you want to make sure that you eat, you need to get your high school diploma. If you want to eat well, you get your college diploma. And I like to eat, and I have expensive taste, but definitely higher education
Yeah.
is the way to go.
Because I believe that higher education can open doors that nothing else can open, right? It's
Yeah.
only education that can open certain doors. Therefore, go for it.
No, you have to. The higher, the better. Higher
It pays
learning.
off, right?
No,
It's worth
definitely.
it.
It's hard. I'm
It's
not gonna
hard.
lie to
It's
you.
hard.
And especially going back to school, as an established adult, as a wife, as a mom, and everything else, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. However, it also comes with its rewards, and hopefully, it will serve as an example for others in the community and
That's what
saying, "Hey,
matters.
you
It
can
gives
do it
result,
too."
right? It pays
Absolutely.
off at the end of the day. That's what
Yes.
it works.
Yes, for sure.
Dorothy Emmanuelle, there's no word to thank you for being here today.
It's been a
And
pleasure.
hopefully it's the first day, it's not gonna be the last
No,
day.
no,
And
I'd be more than happy to come back. I look
thank
forward
you
to
so
it.
much. And I thank everybody. I appreciate it today. So first time, not the last time. We'll see her again. One more time, thank you for
You're very
coming.
welcome.
And
Thank you for having me.
see you next time. Take
Bye.
care.
All right, you too.
Bye everyone. See y'all next
Bye.
time for the same conversation. Bye.